And welcome in, everybody. Another edition of The Meltdown here with you. Having seen both If and The Strangers Chapter 1 before the weekend, where did the two land in their first weekend of release, and how closely did Lunce predict the top 5 late last week? OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said in an interview last year that Her is his favorite movie. That 2013 film notably features the voice of Scarlett Johansson as the disembodied love interest of Joaquin Phoenix. OpenAI had been using a voice that many felt was similar to Johansson's. The company now says the voice-enabled chatbot will be shelved for the time being. We will take a closer look at the big picture. And Lunce's list profiles the 5 consumer trends that are creating the most concern for John. It's all happening right here on The Meltdown. It is presented by MyBookie as we broadcast live from the Culver studio.
Two big balls in a tiny studio, teaching you and me about everything they know to make sound. A meltdown, it's the meltdown, time for the meltdown, coming for the meltdown, let's start the show.
And welcome into this lovely little village that we call Meltdonia, as we are live with you every single weekday, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern. Thank you for making us a part of your daily routine. We appreciate that. We are also located on a ton of podcast platforms for those that would like the audio-only version. Maybe you're traveling in the car and want to hang out with us. You can find them there wherever you find your podcasts. I am Tim Melton. Over across from me is the one, the only, once he finds himself, Mr. John Lunsford. John, how you doing after the weekend that was?
I'm good. A nice relaxing weekend. Didn't do a single thing this weekend.
Really?
I didn't do a single thing this weekend.
I don't find that to be true, because I saw new content on our shorts.
Yeah,
YouTube
but that's
shorts.
just sitting in my office coming up with stuff.
Your version
Sitting in
of
my
doing
office-
nothing and other people's version of
Yeah.
doing nothing, two totally different things.
Sitting in my office at home is not doing anything. I could be working on stuff. I could be playing video games. That's not doing anything. I never left the house, so I didn't do anything.
Okay. Was it tough to get back in the car this morning and drive into the studios?
A little tough. I just wanted to sleep in, but you know what? I did it.
Well, I'm proud of you. The first step of making your day great is getting out of bed, and you accomplished that. So
That's right.
let's hope that the show is as good as your new mindset.
We'll see.
Starting off this
Yeah,
Monday. I want to tell you, things are really good for me in my sports fandom. Both the Dallas Stars and Dallas Mavericks have made it to the conference finals. Not yet knowing the NHL matchup, which one of my teams, John, do you have more confidence in making it to their respective final? Be the Dallas Mavericks or the Dallas Stars, or both. You can pick both. I'll accept that.
Who would the Mavericks potentially have to play?
The Mavericks are playing the Timberwolves. That is a definite.
Okay.
The Stars could play the Canucks or the Oilers.
Yeah, I knew that. Canucks and Oilers are both overrated. Dallas had their toughest matchup in the first round, their second toughest matchup in the second round, their third toughest matchup coming up. Dallas will beat either Vancouver or Edmonton. Vancouver should have lost to Nashville. Edmonton, they're kind of back and forth. The Rangers will win the Stanley Cup.
Wasn't my question.
Dallas will
Not
make
my
it there.
question.
And I don't know anything about the Timberwolves, so I'll say Dallas has the Stars have a better chance.
Going with the
move on.
Stars to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals.
They're
I'll
the top
take that.
seed, so yes, they should.
I have here 2 lovely Funko Pops. One is Luka Doncic. The other is Jamie Benn. And when they're eliminated, they will leave the desk. But if they can secure the championship, which I hope both do, they will stay here for at least another year, and I cannot wait to see how that turns out.
Poor Pecorine.
Unlike Tim, I mean, Pekarine's retired, but unlike Tim, I will always leave my Nashville guy here.
You do what you got to do. Producer Tyler's back here with us. Tickets for Deadpool and Wolverine went on sale today. Have you secured your tickets?
I have not. I only have one reservation left for this week, and there's still, I think, 3 trips to the movies this week before Friday.
You saw a lot of crappy movies over the weekend, didn't you?
I did. I wish I had seen some better movies.
What did you end up seeing?
So on Thursday, I saw If and The Strangers.
Weird double feature.
Yep. If was definitely the better movie, though. Friday, I saw Back to Black, the new Amy Winehouse movie. That was mediocre at best. And then Saturday I saw the TV glow, which was very underwhelming.
I was going to leave the house to go see I Saw the TV Glow until my wife saw Tyler's review and said, I really don't want to go see it anymore. So that was that.
There's some subtext in the movie that I think if it applies to you, then you would find a lot of meaning in it. But if it doesn't, then you're just kind of left with a subpar horror movie that's not scary.
Which is how you felt watching I Saw the
Absolutely,
TV Glow.
yeah. This was atrocious.
It's one I hope comes to Max quick with the new A24 deal they have. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll see.
EG is back here with us in studio. We always
guys.
appreciate EG being here. EG, you've got a brand new podcast that you've been working
do.
on. Multiple episodes.
Yes,
And it
yes.
appeals to one very specific type of fan base. However, it's really for all baseball fans.
It is. So it's called The Pennant Grace, and we actually have an episode tomorrow and Thursday, so 2 this week. And it is a Braves-centered podcast. We have a lot of fun. My co-host is also a Meltdown triple threat trivia contender.
That's Ush, right?
That's Ush. Yep.
I'm still getting used to saying his name the
I
appropriate
know.
way.
I know. It is not Ush. It's Ush.
He
There we
will
go.
slap you across the face in the street if you pronounce his name wrong.
Yeah. We also have a giveaway going on for bobblehead. Yes, Hank Aaron, just like you guys like your Funko Pops, baseball fans like their bobbleheads. So you can go enter on our Twitter at The Pennant Grace. All you have to do is retweet it, give us your favorite Braves memory, follow us, and then give us a like and comment on our latest episode. That's pretty good, right?
That is awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. John and I had an argument many years ago about whether or not bobbleheads were cool. And I thought they were, and John said that they weren't. But I feel like you're coming around a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not coming around because if you notice, the ones I have up here, none of them actually bought. You know, a lot of Funkos do bobble. These do not. They're still not cool. Here, we got into that debate. I don't remember why we did, but I assume it had something to do with baseball itself because we debated baseball also. EG's not going to like that, but
okay.
baseball needs to come into this century.
I
And
agree. In what aspect?
in a lot of ways, in the fan experience, in the game itself, in just a lot of ways, baseball is seen as very traditional.
Yes.
And I got it. But I feel like bobbleheads kind of go with that.
Oh,
that
interesting.
Bobbleheads are an old school toy,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I'm not a big bobblehead person.
Well, wait. Y'all will like this promotion then. So August 7th, the Braves are doing a giveaway. For first 15,000 people in the door get a vinyl, and it's Spencer Strider's favorite songs. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
like that.
they're coming around.
But I like bobbleheads. I've got no
Although
problem with
vinyl
bobbleheads.
is
For
very
the
old.
record, I
Yeah,
agree
that
with you,
is
Tim.
for the record.
Bobbleheads
Yeah.
are better than Funkos.
For the record.
I didn't say bobbleheads are better
Well,
than Funkos.
no.
I just said I like
I'll say it. I'll say it.
You guys very active in the chat today. A lot of people noticing that neither one of us are wearing a hat.
Oh,
I promise
yeah.
I'm not trying to copy your trend here. I just find it to be much cooler without the hat.
It is.
In this studio, which it's warming up.
It is.
The more warm it gets outside, the hotter the Meltdown studio gets, which, is true to brand, John.
I stopped wearing a hat because after my surgery, like my whole head was sore, and wearing a hat gave me a headache just because like
Constricting.
everything was kind of sore, and the way I had to sleep, like sitting up, it gave me a headache. So I just kind of stopped, and I thought, yeah, I'll quit wearing a hat. But also, it is much cooler in here not wearing a hat.
Well, I'm glad that everyone is very observant of that. And we also have Sick Nasty Heat in the chat saying, I heard The Strangers was one of the worst movies of all time.
That's what I've heard.
Absolutely the case. It is a awful movie. I feel sorry for the people who go in and hand over their hard-earned cash to watch that absolute garbage. Now, I like the genre. I like the slasher movie genre. E.g., this is not a movie you would watch even if it was good. This is not
No.
your cup of tea.
No. I don't know anything about this film. Will not go see it.
Right. You don't like scary movies.
I don't even like strangers in general.
Just strangers down the street.
Good policy.
Yeah.
Like the ones that Ush will knock to the floor if they get his name pronounced wrong. Those types of strangers. But this is an awful movie. Don't see it, even if you're a fan of the genre. Tyler, there's a movie coming out next week that we're both excited for that looks like a better version of The Strangers, mixed with a little bit of Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, In a Violent Nature. It's I guess like A24's take on Friday the 13th. It looks very much like the early Friday the 13th movies.
What I'm very excited about is John will see every A24 movie, so he's going to go with us to see In a Violent Nature, and I know that it's going to be an exciting time.
If you go through the list of ones I have not seen, it's horror. So
okay.
no,
All right.
not going to happen.
That's perfectly fine. There's something very important brewing here
Okay.
in the Meltdown arena, and that is triple threat trivia. John, you are no stranger to the competition. E.g., you have had that title that you've been able to hold on to until Ush took it away from you, I believe.
Yeah.
Hope that doesn't create any division there with the pennant grace. But do you know who y'all will be competing against?
No.
Obviously,
Wait, I didn't even know I was competing against you.
I knew it was the two of us, but I don't know the third person.
I'm out of retirement. Surprise.
do you think I should make the announcement
What an
right
entrance.
now? Should I make the announcement right now
Yeah,
of
I'm
who you
intrigued.
guys will be competing with? I was
kinda-
able to secure the contractual rights to this rookie who has never competed in this arena. It's a very exciting time.
Who is it?
Making their Meltdown Triple Threat Trivia debut on Wednesday. Any guesses?
I truthfully don't have
honestly
one.
have no idea.
Great drum roll there,
Somebody
Tyler.
works here?
Lance Taylor
No
will be coming
way.
in to compete against both
That's
of you.
gonna be so fun.
And he's coming in to win. He plans to win.
Okay.
And he is ready to rock and roll. John, you've said for a while now that the biggest threat out of the next round studio when it comes to trivia would definitely be Lance.
100%.
You've got a lot of work cut out for you. You've got EG, who's been hitting the books hard over the weekend
Yep.
and is ready to come in here with vengeance on her mind. And here's the worst part. Once you get through this gauntlet, you then have to take on Spud and a Tim Lunsford, who was on a hot streak
Wow.
for the first half of that game and then survived and then won by a huge point total, point differential. John, what will be your strategy going up against Lance Taylor on Wednesday?
Show up. I haven't never lost a number one contenders match, so why am I going to start now?
So he should be the one that's actually
He should be the one that's
quite
worried.
terrified. EG,
Plus, I know how that wheel works. The new people come in have no idea how that wheel's going to get them.
I think this will be the most talented group of number one contenders we've ever had.
Wow.
That are fighting all. If you took, the accomplishments of all three, if you took the history of all three, if you took the strengths and weaknesses of all three, I think you have your work cut out for you here.
I mean,
Wednesday.
this is a great matchup. I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be great competition. I did a 300 question general knowledge quiz this morning to get things started. So I'm feeling good.
Okay.
What'd you do for breakfast? A 300 question general knowledge quiz.
Well, you had 300 questions then. I have 10 questions for you now. We call this 10 with Tim, where we share our opinions. There are no winners or losers. We all
Should be.
are more bonded after
are.
this experience. And I would love for everybody in the chat to give us your opinions on what your preferences are. Okay, here we go. Question number 1, and it's going to go to John Lunsford. John, at Buffalo Wild Wings,
Yes.
which sauce is your favorite?
Garlic Parmesan.
No hesitation.
No hesitation.
Can't be changed. Your mind cannot
Can't be changed. Nope.
They bottle that up in the supermarket shelves. And
They
you can
do,
get
and
it.
I have bought it many times.
Oh, okay. Still
Yes.
holds up for you in that
Still holds
capacity?
up. Yep.
EG, what is your favorite Buffalo Wild Wings sauce?
I am not a Buffalo Wild Wings connoisseur. I have been one time in Statesboro, Georgia. Partially, my boyfriend's dad does own a restaurant where they specialize in wings. So there is some competition there.
Gotcha. So it's kind of
Gotta stay
sacrilege.
loyal.
It is a little bit. So I will give my favorite sauce of his. If you're ever in Kennesaw, Georgia,
What a cop out.
go to Old Town, and the chef special is delish. Chefs.
I am supporting the plug that you're giving
Thank
here,
you.
but I would deduct points from you if this was Meltdown Triple Threat
For
Trivia
sure.
and I asked for you
That's
to name
fair.
any Buffalo Wild Wings sauce ever. But I will accept your half answer
Thank you.
as an answer.
Like a
so
true politician.
We can move on. It sounds like it. Tyler, what is your favorite Buffalo Wild Wings sauce?
I'll switch it up sometimes. I love garlic parmesan, like John said, but I'll also go Asian zing sometimes if I want a little heat to it.
As we look to the chat here, we see Nick saying garlic parmesan and honey barbecue. Honey barbecue is my favorite. Smuff is with you. He likes the Asian zing, saying it's solid, but loves the buffalo dry rub.
Buffalo dry rub's good too.
Jody, honey barbecue. Brock, Buffalo Hot. I can't do the Buffalo Hot stuff. It's too intense for me. I'm a weakling when it comes to hot foods.
Yeah.
Spicy foods.
I like the spice, but I like peppery spice, not like buffalo sauce spice, if that makes sense.
We got Charles and Sick Nasty Heat in the chat as well. Y'all's answers are fine. They're long, and
Charles said he didn't like Buffalo Wild Wings. Mike said the wild sauce.
that helps me, John. Thank you. Question number 2. Tyler, have you ever owned a cactus?
No. My sister likes to take care of cacti, though.
I knew there was going to be some story here. I felt like there was some cactus in your life, and you are technically the uncle to a cacti.
Sure.
Okay, this is going swell. EG, have you ever owned a cactus?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I had a flower on it. I saw it at Home Depot, and it was like on the bottom shelf, and it looked sad, so I got it.
How
say
does
it
a
looks
cactus
sad?
look
Yeah,
sad?
I don't know. It just looked sad to me, and I felt like I had to take it home. That was probably 15 years ago now. Well, not 15, probably 10.
I assumed that
Oh,
This-
little guy, you're coming home with me.
Yeah.
You look sad.
this cacti is no longer a part of your life.
It's not. It was a succulent, I guess, but it was a little pot. It had a little spiky thing, and then a little flower.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, I don't know why I'm asking this question. There's no reason to, but have you ever owned a cactus?
By marriage, yes, my wife has gotten.
I'm married.
So
before.
you have a step cactus.
Yeah, I have never physically gone and bought a cactus before, but it has been like the little
Yeah,
succulent
they're
kind of
cute.
version of them. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I was playing Mario or something and thought of this question.
Yeah.
Sure. Gonna move on to question number 3. If you were ever hired, John, as the talent booker for SNL, who is someone that's maybe notable but under the radar that you would place at the top of your hosting wish
Oh
list?
God, that's a question I got to think about.
Think about
That
it.
sounds like more like a Lunce's list.
It does,
It
but
does.
I mean, I'm just thinking like someone that comes to mind that you would like to see host SNL that maybe isn't a frequent host. Even if this is a previous host, I won't hold it against you too much because it's hard to know every single person who's ever hosted. But is there anybody?
I mean,
that,
I'm honestly trying to think of like athletes
yeah,
because
somebody out of the box.
like I think Peyton Manning's one of the best hosts they've ever had.
absolutely hilarious.
I don't know.
Think about it.
I gotta think about
EG, do you
that.
have an answer?
I'm thinking too.
Wow,
This is a good question.
Tyler, first person to answer wins.
Maybe Andrew Schultz. I really like his stand-up.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either.
All right.
Perfect choice. Out of the box.
Maybe I'm trying to think of someone that I think is really funny. That's kind of under the radar.
Yep.
That would
Jane
host
Gillis would
it.
be good to do that again.
He hosted a couple of
Yeah.
You know
weeks
who I
ago,
like
right?
when like she hosts it, which may be unpopular? Kim Kardashian. I think she's had really good monologues.
I'm gonna go with my top choice of the people that never made it but should have made it with Clive Owen. I feel like he could. I feel like he could be okay.
Clive
on
Owen
SNL.
as an SNL host. Yeah, definitely. I just
He may have done it
obviously he
before, I
may
don't
have
know.
missed his time. I think
Yeah.
if he hasn't done it,
Has Kelly Clarkson ever hosted it?
I don't know. But
I
is that your
went
choice?
down the Kelly Clarkson rabbit hole this past weekend,
Surely she's at least been the musical guest.
and she's just so talented. I really like her.
So that would be your choice.
Yeah,
We have Keith who says James Spann. That would be interesting.
Jim Dunaway.
Let's see. We have Jody that says Conor McGregor.
Oh, that'd be a good one.
Brian Pavlik, who I know is training for a return to the Triple Threat Trivia Arena, saying shocked that Kiss has never done it.
She's
We
been the
have-
musical guest 3 times but never hosted. So there
We
you
have
go.
Jody that says Lou Holtz would be fun. I'm not sure that would be fun.
No,
Can you
that would
imagine
be
getting
fun.
through that monologue?
That would be fun.
He needs to take a shot at Ryan Day during it. That's what I want to hear. Okay. Next question.
good
What about Nick Saban? Did anybody say Nick Saban? That would be my choice.
I don't think you do good.
I think Nick Saban would be a fun guest. He's funnier than people give him credit for.
He
Yeah,
is.
dry
I
sense
just don't know
of
if he'd
humor.
do good with that. Having to read off the cue cards way far away and everything.
He would watch it though, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay.
I'll
I'm
see him
just saying.
tomorrow. I can ask him.
Ask
That'll be
him.
my question.
There you go.
If he'd ever host SNL. Now, if this ends up steamrolling into him actually
Oh
getting
my gosh, no.
the SNL hosting gig.
I wouldn't. Josh Maxson would never look at me again if I asked Nick Saban that.
Oh, so you're not actually going to do it?
No.
Chicken.
Just broke my heart. Okay. Maybe off the record.
Oh, that's going tomorrow. Not really.
Gosh, EG, you are like either half answering or not truly answering some questions, and it's breaking my heart internally. Next question. EG, what was the last thing you microwaved?
Cheese dip.
I'm just happy you didn't say that poor cacti that was depressed and sad that you brought home.
Cheese dip.
Cheese dip.
Yep.
I feel like that's a tough thing to microwave. Was this like a reheat situation?
A reheat situation.
Reheated cheese dip is not very good.
Yeah, it is. You just
No.
get
It's
it, like,
fine.
It's fine.
It tastes the same.
It's too much of the residue sticks to the container. I don't know. I have problems with it.
If it's in a styrofoam, though, it's good.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay, me and you not gelling today. John Lunsford, what was the last thing you microwaved?
My breakfast this morning. So my wife typically goes to Starbucks, and she always gives me these little egg bites
They're good.
that I eat, but she goes like super early in the morning. She's a morning person from working the round table back in the day, and it's probably 6 a.m. I am not up by that point, so she brings them back, and I'll usually microwave them before I leave to eat them.
You and your wife, very different preferred sleeping schedules.
Yes.
Definitely. Early
Yes.
riser for her.
I'll stay up till 3 a.m. every day and then wake up at like 11. She would rather go to bed at 9 and wake up at like 5 a.m.
I'd rather stay up. I'm a night owl.
Yeah.
We know a thing or two about night owls, Tyler. As
David Dalmatian.
There you go. That was the Late Night with the Devil actor.
What did you say?
His fan base within the movie, Jack Delroy, his fan base was called the Night Owls. Anyway, that's a deep cut. Tyler, what was the last thing you microwaved?
Last night I microwaved my dinner. My aunt made me some Husband's Delight, which, if you guys don't know, it's like a pasta with cheese and cream cheese and meat, and it's mixed together like a casserole. So I reheated some of that, had it for dinner.
That sounds pretty good.
I mean, it sounds good. I've just never heard of that before.
Yeah.
I haven't either until my family started making it.
What's it called again?
Husband's Delight. I've never heard anyone else
Heard of
make
Marry
it.
Me Chicken.
It's made with real chunks of husband, so you know it's good.
My wife made Marry Me Chicken sometime last week.
What's the chat saying right now? What are some of the things being thrown out there, John?
Let's see. Of course, Mike's bragging about being up at 3:45 a.m. every day. For cheese dip, Nick, you got to warm it for like a minute, then mix it back up, then warm it
Yeah.
for another minute.
Agreed.
And go from there.
Maybe that's been my problem.
Yeah.
Jody, Chef Boyardee, sounds like you. Mike, Chinese food. Russell, coffee.
Chinese
Microwave
food
coffee.
is never good reheated.
Chinese food is great.
I'd rather eat it
Yes.
cold. I'd rather eat it cold.
It's not
You're
bad cold
insane.
either. Noodles are not bad cold, but I
The
would rather-
rice needs to be reheated.
yeah, it needs to be reheated.
It's not good. Okay, next question. E.g., if you were given $1 million for every audio CD you owned, how many millions would you likely collect? How many millions of dollars would you likely collect? And I'm talking about from
All right, I had
the label, not like burnt CDs.
Okay, I had Taylor Swift debut back in the day.
You still have it?
I
Could
think
you
so.
actually
It's
like
somewhere.
find it?
Yeah, it's somewhere in my house. I think my dad found it recently. I had Bon Jovi. Really random. I had
Bon Jovi sounds like something you would reheat in a microwave.
it does. Trace Atkins. I had Prince, weirdly enough. And
Not weird at all. One of the biggest artists of all time.
well, yeah. And then I had so probably like 6-7 million.
6 or 7 million.
Yeah. Oh, I had Miley Cyrus's dad. I can't think of his name.
Billy Ray.
Billy Ray Cyrus.
Wow, that made me feel really old.
Billy Ray.
Triple threat trivia. You need to keep studying,
I
okay?
know that was like on the tip of my tongue.
Tyler, how many millions of dollars would you be walking away with for every audio CD you can produce?
Oh, man. There's definitely a ton laying around in storage because I used to go to Coconuts all the time when that was open at the Summit and just...
Did some damage, huh?
Oh, I did a lot of damage there. It could be as high as like 50 or 60,
Really?
but it could also be as low as like 15 because of all the moving and
gosh.
stuff getting lost.
You get in there and they're not in the storage unit you thought they were, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm losing all these millions of dollars. John, how many millions?
So this is not like CDs we have bought, but CDs we can physically produce right now.
CDs right now that you can physically produce.
2 million.
Hold on.
The way you asked the question originally, how many actual
But did you
CDs have you had?
Yeah.
As opposed to
if you were given $1 million for every audio CD you owned, how many millions would you like to collect?
Yeah, that sounds like owned in
Present
your life.
tense.
Yeah, that's how I was speaking my youth.
If you were given $1 million for every audio CD you own, how many millions
Own
would you
currently.
likely collect?
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
Throw the challenge flag, John.
Oh, he's owned.
Get that-
If
get
it was
that.
owned, there were actual label CDs. It probably would have been about 200, 250 million. Now I'd say it's probably, I have a bag with a bunch of CDs, and I don't know why I've kept it, but I've kept it. That has probably about 100 in there. So I'd probably say about 100 million right now.
$100 million. That's impressive. I am probably going to have like $20 million of what I've held on to. What is one memorable story, John, that you can recall from our pickup basketball game at the BJCC at the home of the squadron?
Well,
I think we're all going to say the same one.
yeah.
Question number 6.
I won't steal the best one then. I'm going to go me nailing 2 3-pointers and then missing like 2 3-pointers, and Brown saying I was ruining the entire game by not making any shots when I clearly was the best 3-point shooter there. And the video is proof of that. So whenever the video happens to pop up on the next round, I'm the best 3-point shooter in the entire office.
Tyler, I think I remember it being as clear as John is laying it out, but it may be embellished just a little bit. What do you remember most from our pickup game that we played at the home of the squadron at the BJCC?
The feeling of folding chairs against my face.
For those that don't know, Tyler torpedoed into the first row
I've never
of the
seen anything like
courtside
it.
seats that were put up.
Imagine a
Head
ball's going out of
first.
bounds and you're going to save it, and you trip and just dive like a missile head first into the seats
It was-
that are folded up, by the way. So he hit the hard part underneath.
It was Reed's fault because he yelled from the other side of the court, "Get it, Tyler!" And then Tyler, who's been trained to follow all of Reed's commands,
Max effort.
dove
He floated.
like he was going into a t-shirt storage bin, like whoosh.
I wish you could see, like, we had video of this, but also everyone's reaction afterwards. Like, I think everyone was on the floor dying of laughter.
My only regret from that is, so we were trying to film stuff for the Meltdown, and so
Yeah.
you and EG had done like an interview walking the court, and I was going to do one coming back, and Scott could not figure out the microphones on the camera, so EG and I are just kind of sitting there, just staring off in the distance, and as he's figuring out the camera, and then crash, and it's like, why were we sitting here? We should have been filming that.
It was truly a horrendous experience to view that because I didn't know if Tyler was going to get up, and somehow he did.
He did.
EG,
I would say people falling is like my sense of humor, so that was awesome for me. That was very memorable. But I guess probably fouling out against Kelsey, that was pretty fun. I channeled my 2nd grade basketball and just went to another level. But the ref did not call anything. Remember?
Yeah, I don't know what
the
was up
ref
with
was
that.
dealing with he was in concussion protocol at that point.
Yeah, we had a questionable ref for sure.
EG, do you own a Keurig machine?
I do. It's a recent addition.
Something you use daily?
I've not used it in like 3 weeks.
Okay.
So no.
Okay. Tyler, do you own a Keurig machine?
I do. It is it's a few years old, but I use it most days, like probably a good 4 times a week.
Okay. This is not a police investigation or anything. I was just curious if you own a Keurig machine.
Yes, we have a pink Keurig machine.
Cute.
I assume you did not
I
pick
did
it
not
out.
purchase it. I did have one originally, and then when we moved in together, mine went by the wayside, and her pink one
It
stayed.
won out.
Yep.
That is called
the road.
marriage.
Yep.
Next question. Do you consider yourself, John, to be a good parallel parker?
I'm okay.
Is it frustrating for you?
It's only frustrating for me because nobody gives you the time to parallel park. So if you're in deep traffic, you pull up. You're supposed to pull up, turn your right turn signal on, and then back into it. But everybody's just going to get right up on your butt to where you can't do anything.
Right.
So, like, you have to wait until you're free to actually do it. Now, outside of going to downtown Birmingham, there's no reason to ever parallel park. And my parents were surprised when I got my driver's license 21 years ago now. My parents were surprised that I didn't have to parallel park for my exam. I didn't have to do any of that, but I guess it's because that's not really much of a thing anymore like it is.
It's like cursive writing. It's gone by the wayside a little bit.
So I'm okay. I'm okay only because I've done it just enough downtown because my father-in-law owns a business downtown, so I've gone down there a bunch and everything. So I've done it just enough to be able to be okay at it.
E.g., do you consider yourself a good parallel parker?
I consider both cursive and parallel parking to be one of my hidden talents.
So you're really good at parallel parking?
Yes.
I've ridden in the car with you before. You're not good at traditional parking.
No, but parallel, I can do.
Okay, so you're
Doesn't make a
better
lot
at
of sense,
parallel
but yeah.
parking than you are
And
driving
backing in.
straight into a spot.
Backing in and parallel parking, anytime, any place.
Okay, good to know. Next time you go out to Talladega.
When did I have bad parking?
I've only seen it at Thompson one time, and it was...
Oh, it was bad then?
It was...
I've seen it bad. I've lived it where it was bad. I was in your passenger seat.
I mean, I believe it for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think backing in and parallel parking, I'm pretty good at.
Okay. Overconfident in your
You could say.
parallel parking, I feel. I haven't seen it yet, but I want to
But
see some
cursive,
sort
you
of...
guys can attest to.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
Yes,
I'm not
handwriting
doubting that
in
at all.
general, yes.
But it wasn't the question. Tyler,
One of the answer, though.
good at parallel parking?
Better than I am at cursive, honestly.
How did this become a thing?
I am a lot better at cursive than parallel parking, I will say that.
Next
No.
question. This is question number 9. E.g., describe the perfect salsa. You sit down at a restaurant.
okay.
Help me understand what the perfect salsa is like, because there's good salsas, there's bad salsas, and then there's excellent salsas.
Yes. This is a very personal preference, I would say. I like a salsa that's medium chunky. I don't like it too chunky, and I don't like it too smooth. I like more spice, but I like smoky spice, kind of, and a little bit of sweetness, and a lot of kick to it. A darker salsa.
Darker salsa,
Yep.
medium chunky, some kick.
Some kick. With a little bit of sweetness, too.
Okay. John, describe the perfect salsa.
Very well pureed,
See?
not watery. There's almost a way you could puree it and then strain it a little bit. That would be good. It doesn't need to be like a paste necessarily. It's still got to have, you can dip it and look and tell, here's tomato, onion, whatever. But it needs to be not chunky at all to me. And, you need to be able to dip a giant scoop up on the chip and it stay there, as opposed to leak off the side or there's just a big piece that falls off. There's one place in town that does it the absolute perfect way, and that is the way everybody should do it.
Okay. Let that be a mystery unless someone wants to slide into your DMs to get that spot.
Sure.
I don't know why I said it that way. Tyler, describe the perfect salsa for me.
I like a medium chunky salsa as well, like a little thicker. I don't want it dripping off of my chips. And I also like ones that have corn and black beans in them. That's a really good
It's okay,
salsa.
but a normal traditional salsa doesn't need to have that.
Yeah, don't give me any of that stuff. But I respect your decision there. Question number 10. This is the last question. Tyler, if you had to spend 1 year in prison for $500,000 with no contact with the outside world, would you take that offer? It does not go on your record or anything. It's just a social experiment.
Am I in like Gen Pop, protective custodies,
You are
solitary?
You are not protected. You have to mingle with the yard and try to survive.
I'm gonna pass on that.
Not going to take the $500,000 offer?
Nah.
Okay. E.g., for $500,000,
No.
would you go to prison for a year?
No way.
$500,000. One.
$500,000 in today's economy? No, thank you.
Yeah. We just got out of a radio contract. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't get $500,000 for it. John, are you going to be the one to break the mold here and take up prison for a year for $500,000?
Just got to go to Buffalo Wild Wings during that time, though. And eat salsa. Not enough money. There's a price, but not.
There's a price.
That's not
What
enough money.
is the price? Let's negotiate.
$50 million.
I do it for 10.
$50
I'd
million.
do it for 10. Yeah,
$10 million and
John.
$50 million.
$10 million to completely just throw away a year of my life.
But
Yeah.
I'm not concerned about the year gone. I'm concerned about what's taking place when I'm inside.
And yeah, potentially having to fight for my life in there.
Yeah,
Let's be real here, though, Ichi. Aren't you kind of getting off easy going to a women's prison?
no.
Am I wrong about that?
Oh my gosh, have you heard the
I've seen
stories?
Orange is the New Black. I mean, looks like a cool place to hang out.
No. I've heard that women's prisons are so much worse than men's.
Really?
Yes, and I believe it.
Wow.
All I know is Aliceville gets to watch TV apparently, or gets to watch YouTube apparently.
They watch the next round.
No, thank you.
For those that don't know that story, John, fill us in.
I don't remember how exactly it came about, but the women of the Aliceville Women's Prison are obsessed with Ryan Brown, especially when he shows some leg. I think it's from The Zone. I think that's actually how they fell in love with him, but they apparently watched the next round too.
I would not last a day.
It used to feel like being stuck in a prison going to the dentist, but not anymore after meeting Dr. Jeff and Dr. Brian over at Grants Mill Road. You could call them the Wardens of Dental Care. You should visit them at Alabama Dental Associates. I am always thrilled to visit the professional dental team that they put together, knowing I am taking care of myself the best way I possibly can. I spent years dreading going to the dentist, never being able to find the right fit for my needs, but now I have found the solution and am so happy to share it with you. They not only have all the latest advancements in dental health care technology, but they also have the friendliest staff in town. If you're ready to find that perfect dental team, then look no further than Alabama Dental Associates. Call them at 205-956-8977. That's 956-8977, or visit alabamadental.com as they look forward to seeing you. All right, let's get into quickly here the weekend box office results. Director John Krasinski's If fell slightly short of box office expectations, but landed $35 million to land in the top spot. Heading into the weekend, If was projected to bring in at least $40 million in its first weekend of release. Based on Friday's turnout, it looked as if would open to $30 million, but projections were revised up after Saturday showed stronger box office sales. It cost $110 million to make this movie, many millions more to market. It collected an additional $20 million overseas for a global total currently of $55 million. John.
Not to toot my own horn, but I said $35 million on Lunce's list.
You did, and that was absolutely correct, and you had it there in the number one spot. You got every pick right except for one.
Yep.
Wow.
In your Lunce's
And I got
list.
pretty close to all the money except for the one too.
You did.
Is that bettable anywhere?
Can
Can it be?
Anybody can make it bettable, I guess. If you find somebody on the street and want to bet, you can do it.
All right.
That's one way to do it. John, we prefer going to MyBookie.
We do prefer going to MyBookie and doing
Don't think
legitimate
this
bets.
is one of those bets you can make, but you can make a lot of bets there at MyBookie. Tyler, you've had a couple of days here to think about If. You've seen some horrible movies between If and now. What do you think of If after a couple of days of digesting it? Is it a movie you're still thinking about?
Yeah, it was really funny. It was just a fun time. I don't think it'll be one that I'll rewatch, but it was a great, just go to the movies, forget about stuff, and laugh for a little bit.
Okay.
Type of movie.
So you found it to be pretty funny. I found it to be, tonally it would be, highs and lows all over the place. And it would be pretty jarring, John, when it went from one extreme to the other, because it would be a straight up family comedy at 1 second, and the next second it wants you to cry your eyes out.
It got
Overall, not made.
existential.
Yeah, overall, not made for kids.
Yeah.
It has plenty for kids. If you took your kids, it would be fine. But overall, it's not really made for them.
It landed in the number one spot. We have our
If.
spoiler review.
If landed in.
I know, but
I know. It's just
good. I
a
hate
different
talking about
movie,
this
Tim.
movie. I can't wait to move on. Let's move on to this. By the way, If facing some stiff competition from the Garfield movie next weekend, which I think we all agree the Garfield movie is going to trounce this film because it does play more directly to kids. You also have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga coming out next weekend. It's going to be those two movies that are going to be back and forth. Who knows what's going to be number one after it's all said and done.
I honestly don't know. Kids' movies should win, but you never know.
Last weekend's champion, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, slid to second place with $26 million, a decline of 55% from its debut. It's generated $100.9 million domestically and $237 million globally. I do feel like if this movie had been stronger, it could have retained that top spot easily. but word of mouth on this is it's a pretty generic outing for Planet of the Apes. And there's nothing technically necessarily wrong with this movie. There are some logic questions that are brought up in our spoiler review that is up here on the channel, but if this had been a stronger entry, I still think it would have contended for that number 1 spot. It landed there at the number 2 spot. Lionsgate's The Strangers Chapter 1, the heaping pile of trash this movie is, opened in 3rd place and beat expectations. It made $12 million. It was targeting a start of $7 to $9 million. Cost $8.5 million to make, so it's well positioned right now to continue to churn profitability, as The Strangers was panned by audiences and critics who gave the film a C cinema score and a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's generous.
Reading some of the reviews of people who actually gave this a thumbs up, it's tough because you can tell they're just trying to defend the genre.
It's got a 44% audience score, which means 44% of the people liked it.
Well, we all know audience scores, like, that's a really bad audience score. Like most things, if they're well received in some regard, they'll at least be fresh in that category, even if it may be right at the 60% mark. But I have a love-hate relationship with Rotten Tomatoes. I think it is the best barometer we have to be able to talk about how film is landing with critics and audiences and how it's looked at, but it's not the end-all be-all. I've seen some absolutely tremendous films that have gotten bad Rotten Tomatoes scores, and I've seen some horrible films that have gotten excellent Rotten Tomatoes scores. So it's just a kind of a barometer of the discussion of where things are currently sitting in our current culture.
As my letterbox says, my bio, take what I say with a grain of salt because y'all need to form your own opinions and stop listening to Rotten Tomatoes. I stick to that.
Universal's The Fall Guy, which, John, you were high on. I was not. You were higher on it. Took the number 4 spot with $8.4 million. It's still in over 3,800 locations. It's generated just $63 million domestically and $127 million worldwide. The studio spent $140 million to production costs alone. That's not including marketing. This one is going to have to continue to churn and burn there at the summer box office to try to earn back its cost before it eventually hits streaming and whatever sort of deals it has on demand of ways people can catch it at home. Tyler, you feel pretty confident that this is a movie that people enjoy probably more watching it at home.
For sure. The theater did not add anything to this movie. In fact,
The Fall Guy?
Oh, Fall Guy. I thought we were still talking about Strangers. That's my fault.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Fall
That's
Guy.
my
Let's talk about The Fall Guy.
Fall Guy was excellent. I think it's definitely worth seeing in theaters. That's honestly a movie I'd rather watch in theaters than at home. If
Okay.
it was at home, I'd probably turn it off halfway through.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a real glowing recommendation.
I won't go that far, but for a movie all about explosions and stuff, you need to go see it in theaters.
Also new to theaters was the Amy Winehouse biopic Back to Black, which landed at number 5. Is that right?
Number 6.
Number 6. It landed at number 6.
I'm looking at Box Office Mojo.
Number 5 was Challengers.
Challengers
this
beat
week.
it by 91,203. That's what I lost Lunce's list by.
Yep. It was close between those two, right? Back to Black.
2.9 and 2.85.
I think some of the early projections had Back to Black there at the number 5 spot, but Challengers ended up edging it out. And this is a film that, in Back to Black, not only do you consider terrible, Tyler, but Back to Black also off to a terrible start monetarily, and I don't think it's going to get any better.
Yeah, this is not a good biopic. I think in a good biopic, you get to explore what makes that artist who they were and how what makes them tick creatively. And you really don't get that in Back to Black. It glosses over everything that would lead somebody to resonate more with Amy Winehouse as a person and just chooses to say, no, it was all paparazzi that was making her this way and not actually exploring any issue.
2024. We are almost to the halfway mark of the year. Is it an abysmal failure so far cinematically? John Lunsford.
Overall, yes. Have there been absolute winners? Sure. But,
But you can count those, what?
I mean,
Dune, Godzilla Kong.
Financially, Dune, Godzilla, Planet of the Apes will probably end up being there.
Yeah, that's about it.
I mean, as far as killers at the box office, I mean, Civil War did really well for what an A24 movie typically is. That's pretty much it for that. Challengers,
Not
for
that
the kind of movie it is, I guess, maybe. But, even then,
it costs $55 million to make.
Truth is, if you go through, I'm looking at my list of movies I've seen now, 21 films. I've never had this many 1-star or below films in a year.
Wow.
And it's only May. So I'd say that tells you how good the box office or how good the movies have been this year.
The Blue Angels movie garnered $1.325 million from 268 IMAX screens globally, averaging $5,774 per location. J.J. Abrams and Top Gun Maverick star Glenn Powell produced the non-fiction film, which is only playing in IMAX. I just couldn't get over your finger quotes there. I don't know what you have against Glenn Powell. It's only playing in IMAX.
Who's the star of Top Gun Maverick?
Tom Cruise.
Thank you.
I said Top Gun Maverick star Glenn Powell. He's one of the stars of that film.
I met him at the Texas Bama game.
And was he nice?
Yes, he was.
I didn't say he was.
I mean, I just
I'd say he was
I don't
mean.
know what Lunsford's got
but
against him.
I'm just
he's-
inputting that I did meet him.
He's at least fourth
You think he's
biggest
overrated?
in that movie.
He has the tornado movie coming out.
Fifth biggest in that movie.
I would say that he's had the most momentum coming off of that movie, though.
Well, because Tom Cruise didn't need any help.
Miles Teller didn't really need any.
Miles Teller, I don't think really needed any, but he hadn't done much since then. Jennifer Connelly didn't really need any. I'd put Val Kilmer overall ahead of him, even though there's a reason why he's not doing anything.
Everybody's talking about Glenn Powell right now, and nobody's talking about those people. I'm not saying he was billed going into that, but he's coming out with a massive win from Top Gun Maverick, and his star has elevated to a point where I think Twisters
overinflated.
I think Twisters is going to overperform this summer.
He's a household name, I would say. Now,
I think
I don't think
he's,
I go that
he's
far
on the
quite yet.
cusp of being there. I mean, he's definitely on the cusp of being there, but he's got a little bit more work to do to reach that level. All right, I want now for us to get into Lunce's list. Lately, it's become tougher and tougher to guarantee some sort of quality customer experience, no matter how patient you may be as a willing customer with funds to spend. It's also a tough time on the other side of the counter as more and more customers seem quick to become flustered due to a number of different reasons. So which 5 consumer trends currently frustrate John the most? It's time to find out on this edition of Lunce's List.
What is this? What is this? Lunce's list, Lunce's list, oh. What is this? What is this? Lunce's list, Lunce's list, oh. Lunce's list of 5. Lunce's list of 5. Lunce's list of 5. Lunce's list of 5.
All right, John, I need you to name the 5 current consumer experience trends that you disapprove of outside of the movie theater going experience, which you have already bashed multiple times, including with a Lunce's list of 5 ways to fix it.
Clearly number one. I think a lot of things people hate out there, I don't hate. Like AI, for instance, how it's used in things, including this. I'm all about AI and the evolution of AI. That was not an AI.
That was at you, not AI.
But there are still a lot of things out there
Bad joke.
that are out of whack. So I don't know. I don't know if these all would necessarily fall into there, but there are things that, as a consumer, I'm not a big fan.
I'm excited about this. I want to see if our answers align.
Okay. Well, we're going to get there, and then anything that's not on the list, once we get through it, that you feel like deserves to be thought about.
Okay.
E.g., you throw up there. At number 5.
Counts.
I thought you were about to say accountants.
Accounts.
Having
how's
to
my
have
brother?
an account for
I don't have a
everything.
problem with accountants. Somebody's got to do my taxes. So when I say accounts,
Just gonna say, let's
mean-
get that list, camera. It's all shiny
sorry.
and sparkly up there. Accounts.
accounts. When I say that, I mean mostly from a data gathering standpoint. So, for instance, whenever I have free time, there's a game I play on my phone just to kind of goof off, kill time. To download it, I had to have an Apple account on my iPhone to download that. Well, then to actually play the game and even open the game, I had to sign in with another account, and it gave me a bunch of options, which I chose my Google account for my Gmail account. Then, in order to actually play the game and move forward in the game, I had to make an account within the company that actually created the game. So I had to have 3 accounts just to even start playing a game. And I get it's because all of those different people want my data and want my information, but I'm already giving it to so many people. I'd rather Google or Apple figure out a way with that company to say, we will share this data with you if this person downloads your game using our stuff, or give multiple ways to log in to where I'm going to share that data. I get everybody wants to have a piece of the pie, and that right now data is one of the most valuable things you can get out there. But bottom line, I'm already giving it so many places. Pay those people to take it instead of paying somebody. It all needs to be
This
more.
is what I'm hearing from you. You're not worried about sharing your data. You're worried about having to go through tediously giving
the
away
truth.
your data.
If anybody wants my data, they can find it somewhere.
Right.
I'm already giving it to so many different people, so get it from those people. I told Google what my data is, so random game, go get my data from Google if I'm using Google to sign into you to begin with. I'm giving permission at that point. I don't care. I'm giving permission for Google to give you my data, so just get it from Google. Don't make me have to then make, because I'm going to guess what? I'm going to use my Gmail account to make an account for you. I'm probably going to use the same password to log in for that if you really want to steal all my information. And then I'm also going to put my same name, age. It's all the exact same stuff. But I hate everywhere I go, I have to make all these different accounts. And every single app you use, you have to make all these different accounts. And it just starts to get a little tedious. And, of course, you forget your passwords, half of them, too.
Passwords, yes. Yes.
Because if I just had my Google account, like the one password I will always remember is my Gmail password, because that's how I check my email. That's how I log into a million things. But then if I got to make 3 more accounts on top of that, I may do a different password, or there may be different requirements for the password.
The requirements would get me.
I've had to change it again, and I have to have something different for the account. So everything I consume, everything I buy, everything I do, I got to have a different account for.
Bless you too, Tyler. Tyler had a good old sneeze in there as well.
Thank you.
I specifically dusted before today's episode. I tediously dusted, and I feel like the sneezes are more abundant than they've ever been. You had nasal surgery. You should never sneeze again.
God. It's because when you dust, you kick up
Did
dust.
you really dust?
I really did.
Oh, wow.
He did. He was a very little duster.
Wow.
John sat there perturbed the entire time.
Because I was trying to set something on the camera, and he starts dusting around everything I'm working on the camera, knocking it all over the place. But when you dust, you kick up dust.
Yeah.
No,
So
you
therefore,
pick up dust. There's a
for
difference.
today, but you're just going
That's not
all over
true.
the place.
I'm not doing that.
It's kicking up to where for the next couple of hours, it's going to be up and around.
I don't think I've ever sneezed in here.
And it will settle down.
We're going to have to find different roommates. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. You leave your...
Chick-fil-A?
No, he actually doesn't. He's actually very tidy with everything. I'm trying to come up with things that I don't
Oh, I
have
am not
complaints
tidy
about.
at all, but
In here, you're not that bad.
Everywhere else.
On your desk in the TNR back room, you do have plenty of Chick-fil-A to go around with those buffalo sauce, but
I do.
get into that later. Okay, I thought I was doing nice housekeeping. I know now I will have to dust privately, so that way it does not become an issue. But John, the unspoken agreement is you're willing to give up all your data for ease of access, and you feel like the ease of access is actually
Essentially.
becoming an issue now.
My data is my payment into a lot of this stuff. And so, once again, I'm giving it all to Google. I'm giving it all to Apple. Go get it from them. Don't make me sign up for 3 different accounts before I get somewhere.
Let's go ahead and head to number 4 on Lunce's list, as we are looking at those 5 consumer trends that frustrate John the most.
Oh.
Amazon options.
Amazon options.
I'm gonna need more clarification on this because I'm not a big Amazon user.
All right. Amazon's great. Don't get me wrong. Almost every single thing in this studio, from a technical standpoint,
Has been dusted.
there's a little bit right there you missed.
There's some
Yeah. Almost everything in this
did that
studio,
spot.
except for our nerd stuff, and even some of the nerd stuff has been bought off Amazon. So don't get me wrong, I love Amazon. I literally bought, there's a stand right here that you can't see, that I bought off Amazon yesterday and got it this morning. But if I want an iPhone charger, let's say, something super simple that everybody needs is a phone charger.
Yep.
So let's just say I just type in iPhone charger. I did it this morning when I was putting this list together. Here are the brands that popped up to buy an iPhone charger. Stamish, Stackaset, Ijinjun, Kuzenden, Takaki,
I'm
Muxa.
convinced you're saying words we're not allowed to say.
No,
here on the air.
Muxa, CXX, then Amazon Basics, which is typically a safe bet to go with. It's just that they make. Sysexgo, Zymatech, and Malesi. Those are the brands that you would buy iPhone chargers. Now, I have probably bought iPhone chargers from all these random Chinese companies that popped up, and they're all between $8 to $12 for a cable and brick
Box, nice.
to be able to plug in. That's great. The Amazon Basics is $14 just for the cable, so it's a little more, but it's actual Amazon brand as opposed to some random brand. I don't have a problem with the random brands, but there's so many of them that you end up going through so many that don't work before you get to the ones that do work. Because guess what? If you actually go to Apple's website and buy a legitimate Apple USB-C cable, it's just a USB-C cable and a USB-C power brick, it's $29 for the cable and $19 for the brick. So you're spending $50 for the official charger and $10 for the random off-brand. Great, I'll buy the random off-brand, but you end up buying 3 that don't work before you find one that really does work. And the headache you've gone through almost is worth the extra $10 at that point. There's so much off-brand stuff on there because anybody can join Amazon and start selling.
Yeah.
I mean, I could just start. I mean, Tyler keeps losing his mic clip over there. If Tyler
We need to
decided,
get some new mic clips on Amazon.
if Tyler wanted to start selling his own mic clips, like, you know what, I'm going to fix this once and for all, and he starts selling his own mic clips, Tyler's mic clips could be on there too, or maybe he should come up with some crazy name like this. It's cool, and it leads to the prices coming down, and that's cool, but there's no regulation. I mean, there has to be some kind of regulation to it, I'm sure, for legal reasons, but there's hardly any regulation when it comes to it because I get so much junk from there. Ultimately, is it cheaper? Sure. Is there a little bit of a headache? Yes. But like, if I type iPhone, and here's the other thing, you saw those things that I probably just mispronounced that I read off. Half of those titles misspelled words in there.
Yeah.
Like the first one spelled charger, CHAOER. Like
Choger.
Chaoer. And it's like, but come on, guys, at least, at least
Sounds like a Pokemon.
At least send somebody to spell check this before you put it in there. But that's Amazon, much less any other marketplaces at that point. So it's just a little much. It's a little much, and I get
Competition creates better prices for the consumer, though.
it does. But how much junk are you putting out there? Also, Amazon. This is more about Amazon needs to do
Clean house.
clean house a little bit. But I am more than happy to pay 15 as opposed to 10 because I know the 5 options that you're giving me as opposed to the 10 are at least legitimate options.
Costco has great chargers, by the way. So if you are in the market, Costco.
There you
Anchor
go.
chargers.
As long as you've got a membership, right?
That is true.
I mean, that's
Hey, Costco's literally 5 feet from my house,
I love Costco.
and I'd still probably just do it on Amazon so I don't have to get in the car and go down to Costco.
there you go.
And I'll go through 5 broken ones
E.g.,
before
you
I find
can't
a good
help
one.
some people. You
Yeah,
try to
you just
dust the
can't.
studio, and then
You just
get
get
a
try
lot
and
of flack
suggest
for it.
Costco.
Yeah.
Number 3 on Lunce's list are those consumer experiences that are trending in the wrong direction that you want cleaned up. The streets of consumerism. They need to be cleaned up, and there's one man to do it. That's John Lunsford with Lunce's list. Coming in that number 3 spot is
Downloading game. Yeah, I hate the way you got to download games now. It sucks.
I can't speak on this one.
we're talking about consoles. We're talking about mobile games. What are we talking about here? All of it?
All of it, but mostly consoles.
Okay.
So, with the announcement of the new college football game, I've seen so many people in the chat talking about, oh, I can't wait to go to GameStop at midnight and get the game. And it's like, you don't do that anymore. That's not a thing. Now, could you? Yeah, I guess you could. I guess technically it's still an option.
If they're open. I'm not even
If they're-
sure. Are
if
they
they're
going to be
open.
open?
But like we had a meeting, we were talking about, hey, what we're going to do for the college football game, let's come up with some ideas for the next round and Meltdown and all that. And I think it was Lance was something like, yeah, do we go wait in line at midnight or something? It's like, you don't do that anymore because NCAA 14 was probably the last time they did it. Now, this is already in effect before NCAA 14, but, they remember back in the day doing it. Now you can already buy the game right now. You buy the game right now. Soon you'll basically pre-download the game. Then when the game actually releases, you'll download a quick patch and start playing at midnight or 11 p.m. whenever it actually releases.
Are you surprised those haven't been hacked yet to where people can actually download the game, but they yet don't have the keys to run the vehicle? They got the vehicle, but they don't have the keys to run it?
That's basically what that patch is to basically, hey, these are the keys. You have the car. It's just sitting in a garage.
I
Here's the
feel
keys
like
to actually
somebody's
start it.
going to end up breaking that at some point, and
Probably.
then who knows what's going to happen.
But the problem with this is not the download's easy and it's cool. I don't have to go buy the game. I don't have to go 5 feet down the street to Costco. I can just get it online. But the problem with that is just to download. So we already had Madden on the PlayStation here. We had Madden. I downloaded FIFA or EA FC 24. So call it FIFA. I had downloaded NHL 24. And then by the time I downloaded Fall Guys and Tyler's Lobster Adventure, it was full. So I couldn't download NCAA football right now if I
What
wanted
do you
to.
have to do to delete those games?
I have to delete a game off of there or buy a hard drive that then I can plug in there. But then that's another $100, $200 cost to then buy a hard drive to plug in there.
Can you re-download a game if you've already purchased it?
You can
You
re-download it, but it's the time of downloading a 100 gigabyte file and then deleting that and then downloading another 100 gigabyte file and then deleting
And
that.
is all the history gone in the game too when you delete it?
No, you can delete all of that if you want to, but you can also save that when you delete the game, but that's very minimal time. But like, so Tim, Tim, and a friend of ours played all the time during COVID when that hit because we were all at home.
Yeah.
So we play games every single night. And every single night it was like, hey, you want to try a new game? Well, our one friend at that time had the worst internet ever. And it's like, well, we know you're not going to have this game for 3 days if you have to sit there and download it because you can't just run down the street and buy it. You have to download it instead. So we would have to pass on that game and doing it.
It is tough to coordinate with friends. Hey, want to play this new game that's available on Game Pass, but you have to make sure it's downloaded. And then, oh yeah, we'll be able to play in 2 days.
Yeah. So if you
And
don't
by
have,
then, the momentum's gone and
Yeah.
you may not even connect.
if you don't have blazing fast internet, it's not worth doing. Plus, you can't have a stack of games sitting there that you just pop out of the disc and play.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, even when you do that, you still have to download stuff when you put the game in your console and play. I have not bought a physical game since the first Destiny came out in 2013, 2012, 2013, something like that. I mean, I have not bought a game in over a decade physically because I don't need to anymore. But I do kind of miss the days of, like, I can remember fondly, like, there's a Halo 2 10 up there that I remember going on November 9th, 2004 at midnight, November 8th into 9th, 2004, when that came out, and going to the GameStop in Vestavia and waiting outside with a bunch of my friends and getting the game and then coming home and playing it. I miss those days. It kind of goes along with the movie physical ticket kind of thing, but it's just easier when you just pop the game out, put it in, you start playing, as opposed to you got to download this whole thing. But that's because they're trying to make it easier.
Who would have thought LAN parties would actually be an easier setup to do than playing online with friends? And that is what it's become. You have Nick in the chat that says, yeah, I want a physical copy of the game and not this damn download stuff. I do not mind downloading on the PC as you have to install it anyway.
Right.
We have Rod that says first world nerd problems, which we're not denying.
I'm not denying that.
First world nerd problem for sure, but it is a problem. And you have Russell that's saying YouTube ads, they're getting out of hand. And you have Steven that says definitely can't delete Lobster Adventure till Tyler gets past the damn shallows. In the shallow.
You only read that so you could sing that.
I did want to sing that, but I didn't. Steven is the one who put it in there, so I needed to be able to pay that off. But
Now, the worst part about downloading games now is sometimes even when you buy a physical copy, there's just a download code.
Yeah.
There's just a code to install
Yep.
a digital
you.
version.
I'm with you.
What's the point?
all-
Why ship out cases to retailers?
It feels very hollow. It feels like a very hollow experience. It used to be a joyous ritual in all of our lives, and now it's just about not only are you buying games and you're downloading them and everything, but you're not even getting the full games anymore.
Oh, no.
It's all about the microtransactions. It's all about what can you add on. And I'm not talking about skins and stuff. I get that. They got to make their money. But I'm talking about if you want to access the full game, you got to pay $10 more. You got to pay $20 more for the season pass. You got to do all this stuff. And it's like, oh, man, I just want the complete experience.
I feel like fighting games are the absolute worst with that. Because now it's standard to just make a fighting game with like 12 to 16 fighters, and then you've got 16 more, but those are all season pass content.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on to number 2. John is working on the spelling for this one, which means
Subscriptions,
it's
yes, that is top 2 for me as well. Every
Spell that right? I think I spelled it right.
Now would be a good time to remind everybody. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the summer season. We'd love to have you subscribe to the Meltdown today. All right, now what is your problem with? What is it?
Now, subscriptions are not always a bad thing.
like subbing to the Meltdown.
Like subscribing to the Meltdown. I honestly don't know why they call it subscribing on YouTube. I don't know why that's just following. But because when I think subscribe, I think paying. Now you can join. Joining is paying on YouTube. Subscribing is just basically following.
Yeah, it's always sounded like they've had it backwards.
Yeah, subscribe. It's not bad. A-List is a great subscription, but we don't need subscriptions for everything. And my biggest argument here is when it comes to software. So, for instance, we started this company up here, and we went through this at our old job too. You way more so because we left right about the time it hit. We get a lot of software from Adobe, most notably Adobe Audition. You used to pay like $200 and you got the software, and $200 is a lot to pay for a CD to pop in your computer and load. But you pay $200, and we use Adobe Audition 1.5 forever in our early jobs, and then we upgraded to 3.0 and use that forever. Well, then, because they moved to the subscription model, our old job said, we don't want to do that anymore. And they made us use this, these awful. Only reason I keep using Audition is because I decided it's too easy to use Audition. I'm just going to buy it for myself. And so I used it for a little bit before we left. When we started up here, we couldn't just buy Audition for the couple computers we needed. We had to do a subscription. It's like $20 a month to get Audition. We also had to have video editing software. So we had to have Premiere. We had to have After Effects. We had to have Photoshop. We had to have all those things. Well, that's like $60, $70 a month per person now. So I have one. Tyler has one. EG has one. We all have these subscriptions. We could have just bought the individual software we needed for a couple $100, and it would have been a big upfront cost, but we would have been done at that point until we felt the need. Hey, we got a new computer. We have to upgrade. And what you get with subscriptions is you get updates and stuff, but you don't necessarily need all of the updates.
No.
So if Audition was, let's say, $200 one time, but we're paying $20 a month for it, well, by the end of a year, we've overpaid for it, and we probably haven't updated it once. We probably haven't updated Audition here one time on our production computers, on the computers Rockstar uses, on the computer here that I edit on. I haven't updated anything, but we have ended up paying way more money for it. And it's not like you're just not using it. I'm using the software nonstop, but you have had to pay a lot more it's only $20 when we first get it. Well, then it's only $20 more bucks. Well, then it's only $20 more bucks. That's where they start getting you with the money. It's not quite the same as like, hey, you pay $15 a month for Netflix and you forget about it and it keeps charging you. I get that, and I get how some people could fall prey to that because they want to watch a movie one time and they forget to cancel it. But subscriptions everywhere. You don't necessarily have to have subscriptions. There are a lot of good ones out there, but boy, there are a lot of bad ones too.
Okay. I don't have anything else to add to this. Tyler, anything? I mean, I feel like it's a joint frustration from a lot of people.
I mean, so my issue is that there's just a service for everything now. And you think about what subscription services do you actually buy, and do you actually know you're paying for monthly and use regularly? And then I look at mine and I think, well, HBO's got one where they're putting out multi-million-dollar content for me that I can stream whenever, and I'm still saying $10 a month, not right now. So why are there all of these other people that expect similar levels of success with that model? It's frustrating.
I gotcha. All right, let's go ahead.
And you talked about microtransactions. There's subscriptions in every single game that exists too.
Yes.
You pay $40 a year for EA Play so you can play everything 3 days early. Well,
It's ridiculous.
so am I going to get 3 days early from the 3 days early for NCAA football or for EA College Football 25? I'm going to call it NCAA forever. But am I going to get 3 days early on the 3 days early because of that? Because I could play, FIFA 3 days earlier. I could play Madden 3 days earlier, whatever. So there's all kinds of subscriptions out there. Everybody has one now.
That aren't really giving real perks when they start giving those perks to people who can just, at a drop of a hat, purchase the perk that you pre-purchased.
EA Play gives you hey, you're buying 4,000 fake coins in this game. Well, because you subscribe to EA Play, pay $40 a year, we're going to give you 4,100 instead. But you still got to pay for it, but we're going to give you 4,100 instead. You get that little bit of an extra perk, and it's I'm not going to go through and do those microtransactions, so that's not necessarily a perk I care for.
I'm going to give you two of my favorite subscriptions. CVS Extra Care Card.
That's a good one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You get $10 a month to spend on anything and lots of coupons. Rent the Runway. Awesome. And the car wash membership. Awesome.
I do a car wash membership. It is worth it.
Yeah. Those are my top three.
It's kind of like A-list for me. One car wash is $30, so you pay 20. Or one car wash is $20, you pay $30 a month. You go twice. I'll go probably 4 or 5 times a month, and it is way paid for itself.
AMC A-List, Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime, yeah. I feel like that's not even a subscription anymore.
Prime, as much as I trash Amazon, Prime is a good one too.
Prime is probably the best subscription you can have. I haven't done the Walmart Plus or anything like that, but
I haven't either.
I did a free trial for Instacart, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I use Instacart. It's okay. I don't use it enough, though.
And then Xbox Game Pass, I really do feel like provides a tremendous amount of value. You just got to, if you're going to play with your buddies online, you're going to have to end up figuring out how to coordinate download times.
I know we need to go to number 1, but my favorite Tyler moment was when he thought that Rent the Runway, I was renting out airplane runways.
I did. I was so confused.
Rent the Runway is a subscription service for clothes.
Clothes and accessories.
Clothes and accessories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking she was like renting them out for like, I don't know, photo shoots or something. Just like, oh, let's go to the runway.
Okay. You didn't have to admit that was actually a true story, Tyler. Number 1. Oh, this is a home run here. Everyone agrees with this. Tipping.
Oh, yeah.
It's gotten out of control.
100%.
Before I start,
Got asked to tip at Walmart yesterday.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
That might have been a scam, Tyler.
It had to be.
was it just some guy in the parking lot?
No.
Okay.
No.
I want to hear more about this.
Okay, go ahead, Tyler.
Well, like, it might not have been Walmart. It might have been another grocery store. I was getting groceries, though.
No tip for you today, Tyler. No tip.
I was getting groceries, and I was asked to tip. And I was thinking,
Where?
for what? So
That has to be
it's on the shelf.
company policy.
I had to grab it.
They're running a scheme
I've never seen
against
that
you.
at a grocery store. I
No.
mean, I've tipped the Instacart people or something like
Yeah.
that, but I've never.
You
Anyway.
think about where you were.
Think about it, yeah.
Once again, this is starting to sound like a police interrogation.
Figure it out. I like to think of myself as a good tipper.
You are a good tipper. It's so frustrating. It's really
I've
nice.
seen your delivery
I've
orders.
heard
You
this.
You tip way too. You over tipping. I mean, you tip way too much. You're a
However,
generous tipper.
I get people rely on those tips. So and maybe I'm coming at this from a different angle, and I don't want to get into like a whole like minimum wage discussion or anything, but let's say you go to an ice cream place. You get an ice cream cone. It's $5, let's say. You go to the end, the person has put the ice cream cone together for you, they hand it to you, it's $5. Now pretty much all the time they flip that iPad around.
Yep.
To tip. Well, 20% of $5 is $1, so I'm going to end up paying $6 for the ice cream cone. I personally have zero problem with them saying up front, this ice cream cone's $6, $1 of this is going to go straight into the pocket of the person that's working the cash register right now. What I don't like is that then they flip that thing around and A, you have to be made to feel like you're paying more than you actually are, and B, it puts you in a position to be a giant, if you don't then tip for what it is. I have no problem with the upcharge if you tell me exactly, hey, this is $6, we're going ahead and putting it up front so you don't have to worry about it. You pay $6, take your ice cream and leave.
Upfront, transparent pricing.
I have no problem with the tip. The problem is how the tip happens. That's my complaint on the tipping is that you always have to flip that iPad around. You always have to do whatever it is. I'm fine giving the tip. And I almost always do hit the tip on the thing.
You've forgotten one of the key elements here, which is always, it's going to ask you a few questions. You're like, well, what kind of questions should I expect? Oh,
I know the tip. What else are you asking me?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you agree to give up your firstborn? No, just tell me. You're paying this rate. This is exactly what's happening. I don't care if you break the whole thing down. This is how much our ice cream costs. This is how much I'd respect you more. The more information you tell me about what exactly I'm paying, the more respect I have for you. If it's higher, it's higher. If it's lower, it's lower, whatever.
Okay.
But I want to know exactly what I'm doing.
Yes, and I'm going to weigh in from a different perspective. So, beauty treatments and services from LLCs and independent people, not like med spas, they're setting their own prices. Okay. So, for example, when I would go get my eyebrows done in Statesboro, I love her, but she sets her own prices.
Statesboro getting some big plugs today, by the way, on the show.
I love Statesboro. My issue with things like that is if you are setting your own prices as a business, I do not need to tip you 30% on top of that and have that be the starting option. That's what frustrates me. You own your own business. You set your prices to accommodate how much you need to be putting into profit. That annoys me. 2, if you did not serve me as a consumer and not getting the minimum wage, and you're making more than the minimum wage, or you're making enough, you're not a server making $2 an hour relying on those tips, why am I tipping you 25% on one drink? What did you do besides hand me my drink? Very frustrating.
Just the process of ordering some sort of good or service now demands a tip from most people. What about tipping at drive-thrus? That's started coming up.
It's horrible. It's so annoying.
I got a coffee from a local place probably 6 months ago, and they handed me the machine to have in my car to fill out my tip that I wanted to give for 1 cup of coffee, and I'm like, what is going on here? This is insane.
That's the other thing. Like I do wish almost every drive-through would move to an app to make it. You order beforehand, you go up and do it. And I get it. Not everybody can do that. I get older people go up and can't necessarily do an app. Going to most fast food places now, they have an app. I can just do it, do, and I do the tip right there. So then I don't have to necessarily worry about something like that. But when you're in the drive-thru, you don't need to hold up the drive-thru to do something like that. Once again, I would rather you just say, we're going to add 15% gratuity to this or whatever from the beginning. I at least know, and I can at least make the decision. I'm not going to come back here at that point if you do it. But it's a whole lot less awkward and holds up things a lot less than here in your face when you get there to actually do it.
And the options are getting higher and higher. So I was a cart girl back in the day. We had the iPad, and it was during COVID, so I had no cash transactions. I was just using credit card. And so I would have to flip it over and say, there's a few questions for you.
Oh,
now,
you have to do that.
On a golf course, it is a little bit of a different environment. But it was set at 5, 10, and 15%. So, like, if I sold 1 Snickers, I'm not really bringing home the bacon with those tipping options. But now, like today, for example, where was I? I was somewhere, and it was literally starting at 20%.
You were at that grocery store that Tyler was at.
I was at a birthday dinner last night. That's what it was, birthday dinner last night, and the starting option was 20%. And I'm sorry, if you're not that good of a server, like, I don't want to tip you 20%. I just want to give you a tip, but if you're not doing your job.
That's my other thing. Having the pre-done numbers always makes people get less of a tip than I typically would give them. Because I feel like just going the average, it's like 18, 20, 22, something like that I'm always going to usually tip more than 20%. But if you leave it at 22 and that's the highest option, and sometimes you can do custom on there too.
Right.
But if 22 is the highest option, it's like, oh, well, I'm being generous with the 22. It's like, I probably was going to give you like 35 just based because I'm one of those that I always have to round up to the nearest number. So like, even if it's like 81, I'll end up going to like, or I guess that didn't work out for 20%, but whatever it is, I'm always going to end up going to a number, like basically what's the higher percentage I want to tip, and then I'm going to round up even on top of that. So if you put a percentage on there, you're probably hurting yourself.
Right.
More so than thinking I'm going to get this guy because he's got to do at least 20%.
That's
like,
what
not me. You're hurting yourself.
Frustrated me as a cart girl was I was like, can I take these numbers off and just have them put what they want? Because the highest they can go is 15%. And I was a good cart girl back in the day.
Cash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you start off at 20%, I'm much more likely to just not tip anything at all.
That's the thing. You don't need to make it awkward because that just makes people mad and not want to tip you. That's why the whole flipping around, I'd rather you just tell me, we're going to charge you $1 tip whether you like it or not. You can leave. If not, but we're going to make sure the person gets tipped.
I think the people it hurts the worst are the ones that rely on tips for a living. Those that used to work in the industries that were known as tipping industries, where now every industry is known as a tipping industry. And you expect a tip to be asked for now, where you have to always kind of be on guard for that. There are certain professions that I always have no problem in tipping, and there are others where I'm like, this is not the way the system was designed to work. And I hope in the future, somehow in our culture, we get to a tipping breaking point where this very Americanized thing goes to the way of the past, and it is worked into the prices. If that's the solution, then that's what we need to do. But there's other countries that look at our tipping mechanisms here in this country, and they just laugh at what's happening.
Tipping's not even a thing in most countries.
Correct. So there we go. That is Lunce's list for you. Number 5, accounts. Number 4, Amazon options. Too many of them. Number 3, downloading games. Number 2, subscriptions. Number 1, tipping. Okay. I want to get here to our final story of the day, and that is going to be that OpenAI is suspending the ChatGPT voice that many felt sounded like Scarlett Johansson in Spike Jonze's 2013 movie Her. The company said, quote, "We believe that AI voices should not deliberately mimic a celebrity's distinctive voice. Sky's voice is not an imitation of Scarlett Johansson, but belongs to a different professional actress using her own natural speaking voice." They would not name that actress, saying that there was a privacy issue there in doing that. John, what do you make of the future of AI, how we communicate with it, our relationship to it? Because Her was a little bit ahead of its time there in 2013, that movie coming out from Spike Jonze. But it is becoming more and more our reality, where people are supplementing real human relationships for relationships with artificial intelligence, whether it be platonic or something very different.
First off, did they ever try to like get what you would like if this went to a court case, let's say, and you got some kind of vocal analysis person to come in and say, no, this is not actually Scarlett Johansson's voice, that then at that point there's nothing they should do to take this down. I saw when they released ChatGPT 4.0, I think is what it's called. I saw when they did like a demonstration of it, and I didn't think it sounded like Scarlett Johansson right off the bat, but I didn't really listen that closely, and I haven't really compared it. But I mean, if it's a different person and they've given the rights, then so be it. I mean, AI, ChatGPT is something I actually have used a good amount just to get like, I don't want to say advice, but like for coding, if I'm building a website, like how can I make this happen? And it like explains to you. Basically, it's replaced Google in a lot of ways for me. And Google now has, I want to say it's called Gemini as their AI.
Yeah,
Basically, they have something like, I literally just Googled Sky voice actor to see, is there any article about it? And the first thing that popped up was Gemini or whatever it's called saying, searching. AI overview, and it gives me the thing. There's a character named Sky in a game called Valorant that it told me about, so it was wrong. But like, I have used that a lot. The whole talking to you, I think, is an evolution forward that you need, because not everybody can type and read into something. You know, whether you're blind or whether you just don't have the reading comprehension to read something that it would give to you. You know, so I think it's kind of weird that they pulled this, I feel like, pretty fast, just because it kind of sort of sounded like Scarlett Johansson, and there just happened to be a movie that Scarlett Johansson did where she did this exact same thing.
It just so happens to be the favorite movie of the person who's behind ChatGPT. It's not a coincidence. Let's just break it down to what it is.
If it's not
a coincidence.
If it's not Scarlett Johansson,
they wanted a Scarlett Johansson sounding figure.
If you can prove,
you had Scarlett Johansson on your 5 most distinct voices list.
I did, and I had her on another list about how much I liked her. But like, so maybe I'm the same boat as this guy. But like, if you can prove this came from X instead of Y, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Not sure you can say that anymore with Twitter now becoming X. It confuses a lot of people. Tyler, what did you think of the 2013 movie Her when you saw it?
I really liked it. I thought it was an interesting look at the future, and also kind of scary now, because the Bumble CEO recently said that AI bots are going to be the new thing for dating. Ooh. And Bumble will have a mode for that.
E.g.
So
I can see that.
I'm scared.
Have you ever played the role of matchmaker in your life at all? Have you ever done
Yes.
that? Okay. There's like you understand there's certain people out there, they're seeking someone to share their life with, right?
Could say that.
They're seeking something to share their life with. There's a lot of lonely people out there.
No.
You don't agree with that?
I agree with that. I do not agree where this is going.
And they see
Nope.
artificial
No.
intelligence.
It's like-
No. You need to be checked out somewhere. That is not healthy.
You don't think that's healthy? You don't think
No.
that's an option?
There is not. That's
it's
not an
going to become
option.
more normalized.
And I will separate myself so far away from those people.
It's like, hey,
EG, what if I
Nope.
told you that a couple months ago I saw somebody in traffic talking to their AI girlfriend?
well, how would you be able
How'd
to
you know it
do
was their
that?
girlfriend?
AI.
Because there was a little model on the screen that was like an anime girl type, and he was talking into the phone and then listening and then talking into it and giggling. So
I believe
he seemed to be
I
having
mean,
a good time.
I believe it, but does that make it any less weird? No, I don't. This is my thing. I'm about to get on a soapbox. Let's not normalize things.
We got
Let's
one
just
over
be
here for
normal.
you if you want it.
Let's
Go
just
ahead.
be normal. I don't want AI people normalized.
I'm with you, EG.
Don't-
I'm with you 100%.
That I mean, I draw the line.
Do you feel like EG's opinion would change at all after seeing Her? Because Her isn't. I mean, it really is about. No, it wouldn't change at all. I agree with you. Her opinion, she seems to be.
All I can imagine is EG the matchmaker. It's like, hey, I really need, I'm really looking to date somebody. It's like, well, here, I have the latest model for you right here, if you're looking forward to it.
There's one piece of advice that I would give if
It
you're
has a girl
looking
on it
to.
because my wife's on it. Yeah.
Oh, that's a cute picture.
This is not a good segue from what you just started talking about, but if you're looking to jump back in the dating pool, I would recommend you visit first our friends at Way to Wellness. They're going to make sure you're in the tip-top shape to where you're going to be able to swim with all the fishes.
In my wedding photo, which is what this is, I'm a little slimmer right there. So Way to Wellness is getting me back to that photo. As you can't really see, it just went dark. But go visit Way to Wellness. Leslie and her whole board certified team there have done a great job with me, Tim, Jim Dunaway, and my dad. The whole family there is on Way to Wellness. Go to aplanforme.com. You too can get on that plan that I'm on. Look at the smiles of us as we're sitting there getting our blood pressure taken. Go to aplanforme.com. Learn more, get that consultation, and get on that plan from our friends at Way to Wellness.
Absolutely. All right, a little bit more on this AI talk, and then we are going to call this episode what it is, which is over. But one thing that is not over for a lot of people, that is the hope that they will find someone to connect with, and they don't really care whether or not they're a genuine, human, breathing individual or whether they are artificial intelligence.
Here's the truth
So
about
sad.
AI.
Real quick, Her could have been a really disgusting movie. And it actually is quite a beautiful film if you think about it. It is handled, the subject matter is handled appropriately. It's handled with thought-provoking questions. It does lean into, when you go into a full-fledged relationship with AI, what that maybe looks like. And what you start to learn is that one side of the relationship is polygamous. And that's what ends up causing the issue.
By the way, I think also
Joaquin Phoenix.
a perfect take on this is Blade Runner 2049. Have you seen that?
Haven't
You
seen
haven't
it
seen it
yet.
yet.
No.
Blade Runner 2049, the whole thing is Ryan Gosling is a replicant, and that's not a spoiler, you know that from the beginning, but his whole thing is he has Anna de Armas is like basically a virtual girlfriend that pops up. So it's a robot dating basically an AI girl, but then he goes out in the world and essentially realizes everybody has this exact same model that they're basically with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the exact
thing.
same thing. So it's also, it's the exact same thing as Her, but I'm just saying it's a
It's
good movie.
not
that kind
as
of-
unique as what a traditional love
No.
story is. And eventually that plagues the mind of some people.
This is my thing too, and not to get too deep on us. Let's say you have an individual who is cultivating a relationship with AI. So that AI entity will tell that person whatever they want to hear. So what that does, it creates unrealistic expectations for human interaction. So that same person then decides, I want to try my hand at a real life relationship. So then if they're not receiving the same attention, the same expectations, that won't end well for
See,
anyone.
I think that's a good point because there's no way the human physiology, the human biology, there's no way that it can compete with AI on the
No.
level in which AI can process and transmit information.
And it'll never disagree with you. You'll never have an emotional connection that's give and take like a true relationship is.
People can't handle being disagreed with now
No.
in our culture. It's only going to get worse.
It could get to the point of disagreement. They don't, because they want you to
Consume the
buy
products.
into it
Yeah.
more. I'll say this about AI. So social media is looked at as negative by so many people, but I still contend there's way more positive on social media than there is negative. You just see the negative and it's amplified by a million versus the positive. So every time it's like, oh, well, Twitter X is, such a cesspool of everything, and TikTok is awful for this. I disagree overall. I'm not disagreeing it's not there. It's there, but I disagree overall with that. I'd say the same thing for AI. Some people are using AI to have an AI girlfriend and talk to them in their car. I'm using AI to help me with coding. But at the same time, having a conversation with AI about getting help for coding could be help for somebody who's not going to have a conversation with anybody in general. That's totally different than having just
I
an
agree.
AI girlfriend. So there's so many positives of it that then, yes, you're going to take that and exploit it for all the negative aspects of it too. But don't forget about all the positive that does exist with AI.
But that is
just
with
because there's negative.
every single technological advancement. That's the same argument, right?
Oh, it is, but that's
Improves
also
these people's lives, destroys these.
it's
other
also why we
people's
don't need to
lives.
stop though.
I think Boomer hit the nail on the head in the chat. He said it's like having, I'll paraphrase, an addiction to adult content. It's the same. It's like EG said, you've got the unrealistic expectations of interaction with other humans, the instant gratification, as opposed to having to delay that or improve yourself to get that.
Yeah.
It's
But I'm
awful.
under the mindset that some of these relationships would be way more healthy than some of the marriages I've seen in my lifetime.
Well,
I don't disagree with that either.
I don't disagree with that. From my point of view with stuff like this, I go to people can already be weird. Okay. Let's just call a spade a spade. And online, people feel emboldened. And so when you look at people who may find solace in relationships like that, I am thinking about the girl or boy, man or woman that enters relationship next. And from a safety standpoint, that could also cause issues of this man or woman who has had this AI relationship. What are they going to do when you're not giving them attention?
If AI relationships do become legitimately mainstream, which it seems like everything is trending towards that direction, it will affect repopulation here of our world for sure, and birth rates continue to decline. And you would think if that is an option, that is only going to continue to occur. But this is a much wider in scope conversation, one I'm sure will re-enter the chat at some point, and we appreciate everyone who's just hit the tip of the iceberg here with this conversation, because it does give you a lot to think about for sure. But this is a Johansson sound-alike voice called Sky that was a part of this launch last week. The updated AI chatbot can respond to verbal questions from users to mimic a real-time conversation. The connection to her was explicitly drawn by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, who after the event shared on X a one-word post, and all it said was, her. One fun place to go online that's currently very entertaining and can lead to a lot of adrenaline for sure. That is our friends. They're our title sponsor, John, MyBookie.
Go to mybookie.ag, use promo code next round. You see right there at the bottom, use promo code next round, get that first deposit bonus on us. When you use that promo code, you can bet the sportsbook there. Hey, go play in the casino. A lot of great casino games, a lot of great slot machines there. Also good live casino as well, where instead of just dealing with AI, you can talk to real people who are actually dealing those cards for you. So go to mybookie.ag, promo code next round, bet anything, anytime, anywhere.
Do they have odds on if AI will destroy the world?
No Skynet odds yet,
That's a
but we'll see.
whole nother conversation there for sure.
When that does pop up, then it'll
We
be
should do
time
a
to start
whole
worrying.
episode on this.
We should. I think we definitely should. We should have AI represented somehow. We should have maybe the chat asking it questions as we reach different roadblocks in our discussion, but it'll be a good time. All right, that's going to do it for us here on The Meltdown. Join us again tomorrow, 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern, and make sure you like and subscribe.